Hello and welcome to the Slingshot Channel. I like bows and arrows. I just like them just because they are somehow similar to slingshots. And they function in a very simple way, and that hasn't changed for centuries. Any kind of powerful bow like this one is an awesome weapon. But it has drawbacks, and I think the biggest drawback is that it's really a single shot weapon. In order to shoot a bow, one must take an arrow out of the quiver. Just simulating that, I guess. Then you have to put it on the arrow wrist, which is actually very quick on this simple recurve bow. Then you gotta nock the arrow. Then you gotta draw out and shoot. And as you see, this takes serious time. So let's measure how long it takes me to fire 4 arrows. And of course, I'm not a well-practiced archer. I'm a slingshot guy and not so much a bow and arrow man. But I will do my best to fire that quickly. And I'm not drawing out very far just because I don't want to have slaps on my arm. It doesn't matter how fast it goes now. Alright, that was 4 shots. I don't think that I can do it much faster even if I practice. Modern bows like this beautifully made gearhead Archery, that you can actually buy in my shop, by the way, improved a lot of things on the bow. The bow is super powerful. See, now it's very easy to hold, and I can even aim through the peep sight here. Okay, and then fire, and it's really powerful. But the shooting frequency is still low, and I think it's even lower than for a normal recurve, because not only do you have to put in the arrow and nock it, same way, but you also have to attach the release, and only then are you able to shoot. So it's not faster in terms of shooting frequency, it's only faster in terms of arrow speed. So I thought, can I invent something that overcomes this issue, that actually makes a modern compound bow firing much quicker than the current models? I think so. Let me show you what I came up with. And this is it. Meet Instant Legolas. That's quick, isn't it? What is Instant Legolas? Well, it's basically a quiver mounted to a compound bow. And as you see, it's made from wood. It's absolutely totally homemade. And it actually is a magazine. But you can also see that the bowstring runs here through a track inside of it. In this version there are 4 arrows maximum in the magazine, in the box. And the arrows actually ride on the string. Therefore, they are all a little bit upwards right now. And only when you pull back the string all the way to here, then an arrow can fall into the shooting position. And then you fire, and then the string is riding underneath the next arrow, and the same procedure begins. So really all you do is pull out all the way, and then fire. Like that. Draw out, and you could actually hear the arrow falling in place. And then you can aim, of course. You could even mount a red dot sight here if I wanted to. You can aim and then let go. And if you want to repeat it, sure. Next one. It's easy. Refilling the magazine is quite easy. You simply open up the little latch here, this, and then you put in the arrows. 1, 2, 3 and 4. Then you close the whole thing. Ready to fire. It is absolutely necessary that there's always a little bit of pressure down on the arrows, actually on this entire length of the arrows, just because otherwise they wouldn't fall automatically into the slot. They would just rattle around in the magazine. So we need some kind of pressure thing, and originally I was just using rubber bands that I put over the here and here, but it's very fumbly and I didn't really like it. And also you need a follower that makes this thing really big, because otherwise the rubber bands would no longer have enough pressure on the last arrow. So what I designed is, I designed an own magazine spring from rubber, what else, and wood. And this is it. As you see, these are actually 2 wooden levers. and they run in here, and the rubber bands make sure that there is always a little bit of pressure, and this can actually rotate, which is necessary because the angle of the arrow changes when the action is conducted. So you see this has spring power here and here, a little bit like a windshield wiper. How fast is it? Well, I think I could practice some more, but let's go for one round of unaimed shooting from the hip. Not so bad for shooting from the hip, right? Of course, this requires arrows with only 2 vanes, just because otherwise they wouldn't be stackable. And a lot of people will now say they're not flying true. That's not my experience. My experience is that they fly the same way like a 3-vaned arrow. So let's shoot at some longer distance and see how they fly. I say they fly absolutely true. And if you really wanted, you could always make a version like this one, where, I'm not sure if you can see this well, where I glued on the vanes with a little bit of a twist. So this means that it's supposed to turn in flight. Alright, that's my grouping from like 25 meters. And it's not so bad, because I really didn't aim very well. I just shot in about the same direction. Okay. And now for the ultimate Legolas experience. I'm just kidding. I'm not that stupid. I really like this thing. Why? Look at countries like Australia, where if you want a distance weapon, bow and arrow is the only legal thing that is left. Also, I think for hunting it is sometimes really desirable if you have a quick second shot, so 4 shots will be more than enough. And third, and most importantly, it's so much fun. Come on! In fact, it is so much fun that I think it potentially might change archery forever. And therefore, I know a lot of you guys will now say, run to the patent office, get a lawyer, patent it, you know. And you know what? I'm doing the exact opposite. I hereby give this invention into the public domain for both personal and commercial use. And of course, this video means that no one else can now patent it. So it's truly a public domain invention now. If you are a company and you want to take this idea and perfectionize it and so on, I'll even help you doing that, because I think we need products like this on the market, and not in this clumsy wooden form, but with a sleek, all aluminum and steel, skeletonized fashion. If you want to make one at home, it's not that easy because it requires precision saw work, but you can do it. If you have questions, I have a forum. Feel free to show up on the forum and I'll try to help you. Well, I hope you like this, because I do. I have attached some preemptive wise butt answers regarding this thing to the end of this video, so if you're interested in them, keep watching. Otherwise, that's it for today. Thanks and bye-bye. Okay, questions and answers. I think one of the biggest questions that people will have is, are you stupid? Why are you not, making a product out of this and sell a boatload of them? And the answer is because I like what I'm doing. I have been a manager and I had to deal with lawyers and patent lawyers especially all my life, and I'm sick and tired of it. I don't want to do it anymore. I just want to enjoy my free lifestyle as a YouTube creator and a weapon prototype maker. Therefore, I'm happy that way. I have enough money. I have no need to become rich now. Second question. Why are you using such a weak bow? Because this obviously doesn't have a lot of draw weight. Actually, it's a youth bow. This is a Barnett product, and I think it's called the, how is it called? The Vortex, yes, right. Well, I was using it just because I wanted to see how fast you can shoot with that. And heavy draw weights would have forced me to attach a bow release. And yes, of course, you can design a bow release that's permanently attached to here, so you would only go and it would automatically reset. But that was too much work for me. I just decided to test the feasibility of the concept, just go out and get a very weak bow. It is powerful enough for what I'm doing with it anyway. Is this suitable for broadheads? Well, yes and no. As you see, if you would use a broadhead that is two-dimensional and is not wider than the vanes of the arrow, so this means it would fit in the box here, yes, it would work. But also you could use expandable broadheads, but this of course is only, it requires stackable arrows, and a big three-bladed broadhead is not stackable. Why is the magazine 4 shots only? Well, that is because I'm using wood, and wood of course is more bulky than aluminum or steel. This means that I really need space for the spring to press down on the arrows and so on. I think if you would design this from aluminum and steel, it could be a lot flatter, and this means you could easily do 6 or 8 arrows in the magazine. Won't there be chafing so that the string always tears? Well, this is polished. The track is polished, and it's absolutely and perfectly in line with the path of the string. Therefore, the chafing is very little. But of course, there is some wear on it. And but that really doesn't matter much, because like every now and then I dismantle the whole thing and then I wrap another layer of surfed string over it, and then it's fine. How is it mounted? Well, I simply removed the original arrow rest and used the same screw to mount this one here. And also I put 2 additional screws in just for more solidness. Will there be a tutorial how to make this? No, I don't think so, because one of the issues is that it has to be fitted individually to the bow that you're using and also to the arrows that you're using. I guess a commercial product could be designed in a way that it has adjustability for arrow length and so on, so that wouldn't be the problem. But if you want to make it in wood at home exactly this way, you really have to make this to the scale of your own bow and your own arrows. And it also is very simple. Simply build a box where your arrows fit inside of the box, then mount it to the right position and cut a slot for the string, right where the string runs. Make sure that the distance is correct, so that it's not too far to the left or to the right, and then you got yourself your magazine. Why this funny magazine spring? Why not just using some steel springs that press down on it? Well, this is the Slingshot Channel. There always has to be some rubber in everything I build. And of course, you could make a design from a steel spring that is far more compact. Can this also be mounted to a powerful hunting bow? Sure, why not? You know, bows always have an arrow rest, and arrow rests have to be attached to the bow as well. And also they have exactly the right position, right where the arrow goes. And therefore, yes, you can do it. It is absolutely possible to make this a version for pretty much any bow that is on the market. But of course, a powerful bow has a few issues. Like I already said, you have to incorporate some kind of a release, because this bow, try to draw it out with 2 fingers. It's actually very painful for your fingers, I believe. The advantage is that the bow actually will remain unchanged, so you can go back to the original bow at any time if you want to. Just remove the wooden box and attach your original arrow rest and you're back in business. Will peep sights work with this? Of course, why wouldn't they? You know, you can attach a peep sight in here. It's actually fairly simple to do. But of course, this has the advantage that you can, because you're no longer depending on something, you know, some anchor point or so here. You can simply attach a red dot or even a telescopic sight to the upper side of the box and then aim through that one when you want to shoot. It's really, really simple, you know. Simply draw out, and then you would look through the red dot and shoot at any time. This also has one more advantage that I haven't mentioned in the main video, and that is that when you draw out, you can actually rest your thumb on the butt of the device. So you draw out, and then of course, since it's a compound, it already has a let off, so it's easy to hold. But if you need to hold it for a longer time, you simply put your thumb against the butt end, and then you can literally go and walk with this thing, you know, and if you feel so, just let go. Oops, that was the car door. What are the biggest disadvantages? Well, first of all, it's somehow bulky. It's as bulky as a bow and arrow with an arrow inside, you know, so therefore, but I think that could be solved. I think actually for a commercial product, you could make this swingable so that you can swing it up and slide it down so that it would be like a sideways mounted quiver. So I think that can be solved. But in this version, of course, it's kind of bulky. It's about as bulky as a crossbow, but still, it is a disadvantage. But you know what the biggest disadvantage is? It's addictive. I think the FDA needs to look into this, because it's more addictive than, I don't know, crack cocaine. At least it is to me. Hard to stop.